Last episode, our Champions League journey started with a last-minute loss, and despite a huge formation change, our up-and-down results continue. Can we turn this poor form around, or are the walls starting to close in on my Everton managerial career? But as ever, if you're enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. Now, ever since the switch from this 4-3-3 attack-minded formation into this extremely attack-orientated 3-5-2, it obviously has allowed me to finally be able to pair the likes of Brian Brobby and Moukoko up front together for the first time in their Everton careers, which has clearly helped the pair of them get on the goal-scoring charts this season, in particular this man Moukoko, who is leading the charge with 5 goals in just 8 appearances. However, with me substituting my right and left back in place of just 3 central defenders, I've often found that it's left me exposed in the wide areas of the pitch, and defensively it's left us very exposed, conceding way more goals than I would have hoped. However, even with this formation being more suited to playing teams that we are expected to win, when I did try and change it up and go back to this 4-3-3 when we faced off against Newcastle United, Alexander Isak still cut us to the sword and scored twice as they still beat us 3-2. So to be honest with you, I'm just not quite sure what is going on with these players so far this season. We just haven't seemed to be able to hit the ground running. I'm not quite sure if it's due to all the big players that I've just brought in on very big money who potentially have come in and unsettled the rest of the squad. Maybe the board expectations of them wanting us to win the league, win the FA Cup and get to the final of the Champions League is really starting to weigh heavily on this squad. Or perhaps as the pressure starts to ramp up at Everton Football Club in all competitions, it's really starting to get to me. We've had the worst possible start to our Champions League campaign this season, sitting bottom of our group stage, having conceded a late goal against Bayern Leverkusen in deep into stoppage time. And as for the Premier League, we've gone from dominating the first half of the season last season to now being 5th place in the table, already 7 points behind the current league leaders Manchester City, with just 7 games played so far. And with morale starting to slip within the group, and the players' heads, particularly those in more defence-minded positions, really starting to drop, I've just got to hope that we can find some sort of way of turning our season around. And if we are going to do that, we are going to be leaning on the experience of some of our better and bigger players, especially the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe, having just joined in the summer. He started off pretty well, but his form has tailed off, and he's only scored once and assisted once in 7 games so far. And with his partner on the other side of midfield, Johan Bakayoko, only scoring once, assisting twice in 8 appearances so far this season, it really looks like my biggest and best players are not performing when I need them to. Speaking of not stepping up, having joined the club looking to make the step up from Bournemouth in the summer on big money, Alex Scott, having appeared 6 times so far, has yet to find the back of the net, he's yet to assist, and he's had some terrible performances in all competitions this season. In spite of us switching to 3 at the back, which does allow this man Lacroix to come in and start for us at the back, he hasn't stabilised my defence like I was hoping he would. Plus, I was really hoping the pace of this man Jan Couto would really cause defences all sorts of problems this season, but again, with just 1 goal to his name, he has not been performing at the level that I was hoping he would since joining in the summer on big money as well. Is it the constant changing of formations across the course of this season? Is this gegenpressing style no longer working for Everton Football Club, or perhaps do we need to go back to our roots and try and focus more on getting players down the wing and throwing balls into the box? Or are maybe these players just not as good as potentially I, nor they think they are? Fortunately enough though, it seems my players were listening to my pre-match moan, as in our very first game of this episode, we turned the tables on Copenhagen and we beat them away from home 2-0. But once again, it's more struggles in the Premier League, as courtesy of a late equaliser from Enzo Fernandez, a point is all we can get at home against Chelsea as it finishes 2-2. But a return to the more attack-minded 3-5-2 formation allows Moukoko and Brobby to start together, get on the score sheet together, as we get another 3 points in the Premier League, 2-0 away from home against Sheffield United. Our first 3 points in the Champions League manages to lift us off bottom spot, and with us just being 3 points now behind the group leaders RB Salzburg, it is going to be the Austrian club whom we're going to be facing off against next at Goodison Park for our first played game of the episode, and it's a wonderful opportunity to turn our fortunes around in the Champions League and try and see if we can climb to top spot in the group. A game that I'm confident we can win means a return to our more attack-minded 3-5-2 formation. Pickford keeps his place in goal, Zangante, Margay and Branthwaite partner each other in defence, Garner comes in the centre of midfield alongside Onana, and Alex Scott plays behind the 2 strikers. Bakayoko starts on the right, Emile Smith-Rowe starts on the left, and of course, who else but Brian Brobby and Moukoko partner each other up front. It will be Zangante to bring it forward and plays it out to an unmarked Bakayoko on the left-hand side, but he cuts in field, looking for the option of Alex Scott, who's just peeled off into a nice little pocket of space. Brian Brobby turns really nicely, plays it round the corner, was looking for James Garner. Just got his footwork wrong, but it's a decent start so far. Samuel now to go down the right-hand side, manages to get past Margay and manages to get past Branthwaite. The pace of this man is unbelievable. Instead, though, he checks it back into Reece, and Reece now is going to try and see if he can go down the right-hand side, but plays it inside this time to Durasinimi, and he now tries to bring it into the box. box. And what on earth was Jordan Pickford doing? He's beaten at his near post. It's absolutely horrendous goalkeeping, and it's such a poor way to allow Salzburg to take the lead. Well, once again, he was just allowed to ghost into the penalty area. He managed to get past, I think it was James Garner. But this is so poor from Jordan Pickford. He has to come out quicker, and he has to save them. I mean, look at this. He dives away from the ball. It's absolutely horrendous. It's 1-0 RB Salzburg. Emil Smith-Rowe with the throw. We're going to try and see if we can fight back immediately here as Onana now has it. Plays it into James Garner. James Garner takes it in midfield. Goes past one or two players. Plays it into Bakayoko. Into Brobby. Brobby into Moukoko who strikes. Good save though. It was straight at the goalkeeper, but he beats it away and Bakayoko does keep the ball in play, But the referee decides to blow as the linesman calls it for offside. Zangante. Oh, Zangante, it's really poor. It's read really, really well by the Salzburg midfield. And now they play it back in. And Pickford this time, with a save that he was not expected to make, does make the save. And that is a huge moment because I thought for sure we were about to go 2-0 down. They've still got the opportunity though. Into the box, restrikes this time. Straight into Pickford who beats it away. Branthwaite will clear his lines. But we are living life on the edge here. James Garner tries to play it into Alex Scott. Does play it into Alex Scott. And the Englishman turns nicely, finds Onana, and Onana's going to go out to the left-hand side into Emil Smith-Rowe, who takes it really nicely, and now is going to try and see if he can go past the right back. Does he have the pace? Instead checks back into that man Alex Scott, who's picked up a nice little pocket of space, tries to play it in field. It was a poor, poor pass, and that is pretty much evident of how we've played so far in this game. We've been poor all over the pitch here, as now they're going to try and see if they can counter-attack us, and they do manage to get through my midfield, and now once again the goal scorer tries to go past Branthwaite, but this time the young man is able to get the better of him, and is able to clear the lines once again for us. Emil Smith-Rowe into Onana. Onana fires it all the way over to Bakayoko. Bakayoko has no option but to head it down to Marquet. And now he's going to try and go down this right-hand side. Cuts it back in for Bakayoko. What options does he have ahead of him? He finds a lovely ball into Moukoko. Moukoko into Brian Brobby. And he just puts it wide. Well, right on the stroke of half-time, that was arguably our biggest and best chance of the opening 45 minutes. But we didn't take it. And yet again, we find ourselves 1-0 down. And we've got it all to do here in the second half. Windal into Gulnald. Windal gets it back. Lovely play here from Salzburg, right on the edge of my box here. Gulnald still has it. He's just got the strength to just muscle off James Garner. Out to Windal again. Goes round him. He's had a really poor game so far. It's thrown in, but Emil Smith-Rowe manages to head it away. Only out as far as Samuel. Samuel's got the pace again to go past him, but Emil Smith-Rowe, Branthwaite comes across. Defensively, he's been pretty good so far in this game. And now he's going to try and see if he can bring it out all the way by himself. He does. And he manages to feed a nice little ball into Moukoko. Moukoko doesn't have any options. Tries to turn it around the corner. Can he find Alex Scott? He does. Alex Scott plays it. I was looking for the ball into Brian Brobby, but instead he found Bakayoko. Brian Brobby, though, will take it on. Manages to go round the defender and puts it wide again. Well, that's two big opportunities that man has had, and it's two big opportunities he has not been able to take. And frustratingly, we still find ourselves 1-0 down. James Garner out to Onana. Onana has an option down the left-hand side. He finds Emil Smith-Rowe, cuts it back in, this time from Moukoko. And Moukoko makes no mistake. He does what his strike partner could not do. And he fires us level here at Goodison Park. Wonderful build-up play. Lovely little one-touch ball from Emil Smith-Rowe. And Moukoko, when he's in that position, you know from his form so far this season, he does not miss. It's a carbon copy of several other goals he's scored so far. And he gets us level. It's 1-1. Or can we try and see, with 25 minutes plus stoppage time remaining on the clock, if we can find a way to turn the game on its head and to try and claim a much needed 3 points here in the Champions League. But it's played into the channel, but fortunately enough, Mark Gay just about manages to get it clear. And now Bakayoko plays in Brian Brobby. Brobby into Moukoko. Moukoko's going to try and look round the corner. He's going to try and see if he can find Emil Smith-Rowe. Can the Englishman get there? No, he can't, ahead of the defender. It was good defending in the end. Hanous now for RB Salzburg. Tries to go past Mark Gay. Does manage to go past him. Plays in Pepe. Lovely pass. Oh my word. He's absolutely ballooned it over the bar. And that was a big opportunity they've missed. Branthwaite has it again now to try and bring it down this left-hand side and plays it once again into Emil Smith-Rowe, who's managed to just go past the right back. Really nicely done. Plays it in field for Dele Alli on as a sub into Brian Brobby, who just couldn't get his footwork right. And that man has not had the best of games so far here today. Onana out to Emil Smith-Rowe. It does really feel like if anything is going to come out of this game, it is going to come from that man, as he's managed to go past two players here. Tried to dink it across to Brian Brobby. It was a good interception, but we still managed to keep the ball alive. Damsgaard also on as a substitute. Drives into the box. Can he try and find a ball in? Again, I was looking for Brian Brobby, but just too many bodies in the RB Salzburg penalty box. We've got it again now. We really are in the ascendancy. O'Reilly into Damsgaard, out to Emil Smith-Rowe. He takes it onto his right, goes to strike, another block. Well, the referee referee calls time on what has been a very end-to-end game here at Goodison Park. In the end, though, there was nothing that could separate the two teams. It's another frustrating day at the office for Everton Football Club. As a full-time here, it finishes 1-1. And whilst Mukoku's being labelled a hero after his performance, perhaps Brian Brobby could be called the zero. He's played 12 times so far this season, but he's only managed to score 4 times. He's not had the start of this season that he did last year, and perhaps he is starting to wilt under pressure with this man, Mukoku, really starting to take his place as our number 1 striker. We've missed a golden opportunity to take ourselves to the top of our group, and it means that we still remain in 3rd, and we've still got it all to do if we want to qualify for the knockout stages. But elsewhere in the Premier League, after more up and down results, after 9 games played, we are in 7th place, and we are still 4 points adrift of the final Champions League spot, let alone top spot in Manchester City. And with Arsenal being the team we are chasing in 4th, of course it will be the North London Giants whom we'll face off against next. And of course it is time for Emile Smith-Rowe to hopefully come back and do the business against his former club. It's another big game and another big opportunity to turn our season around, and it's one we absolutely must take. And so that is why I have returned, of course, to my usual starting 11. But as you can see, I have switched to the more balanced 4-3-3. The only big change, though, does come in with Jota starting in behind the striker as Mukoku leads the line for me up front. The big game's coming thick and fast here in Season 4 at Everton Football Club. We haven't had it all our own way this season, but now is finally the opportunity to try and arrest this poor form and try and get ourselves back on track in the Premier League. Arsenal have got a free kick here in a dangerous position that Odegaard is going to take. I thought he was going to try and dig that one into the box, but instead went back to the centre-back. Jorginho now has managed to find Odegaard. This looks like something straight out of the training ground, but Onana with a wonderful challenge, won it well, and now we can try and see if we can get rid of the ball, but Emile Smith-Rowe goes and gives it away. Oh, not what you want against your former club, as Arsenal, I think it was Nketiah with a wonderful strike, Jordan Pickford with an even better save. Well, Arsenal have started the better of the two teams. They've got a corner, they throw it into the box, it's Declan Rice, and I think it was Tapsoba. What is Jordan Pickford doing? My word, Tapsoba hit the post, and Jordan Pickford with the weirdest save you'll ever see. All he needed to do was come out and claim the ball. Instead, beating it out for a corner that Arsenal now have, and they keep the pressure on us here. It's O'Reilly tries to put a challenge in on Saka, can't win it back. Ibrahim into Tapsoba, the centre-back, with his left foot tries to strike, manages to bundle his way past my defenders, but in the end, Jordan Pickford does manage to keep hold of it. Well, it's been an electric start for Arsenal here, and they are pressing us high and trying to win the ball back, but fortunately enough, for the first time in this game, we have beaten the press, and now Teresiano back on as a right-back to try and find his way into the box, into Mukoku, tried to go past Declan Rice, but the central defensive midfielder has been an absolute machine since joining Arsenal in real life, and he's continued that fine form here in this career mode as Martinelli now goes down the left-hand side, plays a lovely ball into Nketiah. Marc Gueye is going to try and come across the cover, does do a good enough job, but Nketiah still has it, but Marc Gueye, though, brilliant challenge, and that is exactly the sort of thing that I want to see my towering centre-back do. O'Reilly to feed it over to the left-hand side to Hato, who picks it up. This is his opportunity to try and stake his claim back in our starting 11. Onana, lovely ball into Jota, who's picked up a nice pocket of space, and Jota tried to feed it into Mukoku, just missed that deft little touch to feed it into the channel. It was blocked off by Tapsoba, and yet again Nketiah can try and streak down this left-hand side. Plays in Sousa, down the line into Martinelli, who of course is always dangerous every single time I play Arsenal. The Brazilian checks back in on his right, goes past 2 of my players, continues trying to make his way into the penalty area. Sousa wins it, but Bakayoko with the resulting challenge, and now Jota can try and see if he can release Bakayoko down this right-hand side, and now has he got the beating of Tapsoba for pace? He will try and see if he can drive into the box. I'm going to try and check it back onto my left. I do. Has he just overrun it? Yes, he has. That was a big opportunity that's gone begging. Jota into Teresiano. Now he plays it infield to Bakayoko, who's picked up a nice pocket of space inside the centre. Tried to feed a ball into Onana, who was high. He won the second ball, but he didn't manage to win the third. And frustratingly, Arsenal clear their lines yet again. Bakayoko now has it into that man Onana. He tries to get away from the challenge and goes all the way out wide to Teresiano, who is unmarked. Can he try and feed a ball back into the box? This time looking for O'Reilly. Big save from Ramsdale. But we are deep into stoppage time here at the end of the first half, and we are pressing Arsenal relentlessly. It's thrown in, headed away. Will O'Reilly get on the volley? He does. What a save from Ramsdale. My word, that was almost goal of the season from about 30 yards out. But it was saved by the Arsenal goalkeeper as the referee blows for half-time. Well, my word, I am struggling to catch my breath here at the end of the first half, the beginning of the second. It has been absolutely electric in the opening 45 minutes. Can the game continue in this vein as we begin the second half? Sousa now for Arsenal, goes down the left-hand side, finds a ball into Martinelli, who turns really nicely, tries to go past O'Reilly. Doesn't manage to get past the former Celtic man. No, he just goes past the challenge of the Arsenal forward and now tries to go in field. He's under a bit of pressure though and loses it to Odegaard in a really dangerous position. Martinelli now down the left-hand side. Mark Gay yet again coming across in the right place at the right time. Brings it in field, but our passing's been so poor. We can't seem to beat this Arsenal press, and Odegaard has it again. Jota, though, comes back across this time, and frantically we are doing everything we can to try and beat this Arsenal press, but Odegaard's won it back yet again. We can't seem to get out of our own half. Our own penalty area is Nketiah comes across, and Bradwaite will just hack it clear. This game is being played at an absolutely frantic pace, and yet again we cannot seem to get out of the edge of our own penalty area. Lewis has it for Arsenal, but O'Reilly wins it back, and finally we have the opportunity to try and counter here, as Damsgaard will try and play it through, but it's not good enough. He had a wonderful opportunity to just dink it over, but taps over, made himself look big, and now Saka goes past Hato like he's not even there, into the box. Branthwaite does enough, just about to hold him off. It's Bradley now for Arsenal. Branthwaite again doing a good enough job, but Saka still has it in a dangerous area. This time it's Onana who comes across, and Pickford with a big save. Arsenal have yet another corner, and once again it looks like they are going to try and go short with this one. Into Saka. Saka does the step overs, manages to feed a ball out to the former Chelsea man Jorginho. This time though, it's the former Arsenal man Emile Smith-Rowe manages to block. It's into João Felix though, and he blazes it over the bar. Well, from being in the ascendancy at the back end of the first half, we are really under the cosh here at the midway point of the second. We've got to try and see if we can relieve some of this pressure, as Onana is going to be the man to try and do that. Brian Brobby now has it. Lovely ball into Emile Smith-Rowe, and this is his opportunity to make his former club pay, and he does just that. And oh, how sweet it is for the former Arsenal wonder kid Emile Smith-Rowe to absolutely smash us into a 1-0 lead. Well, finally we opened up the Arsenal defence. It was Brian Brobby on as a substitute who found the defence splitting pass through to that man Emile Smith-Rowe, and what a strike from the left midfielder with his left foot. Gave Ramsdale no chance. I'm delighted it's 1-0. Tapsoba now for Arsenal to try and burst through my midfield. He's being chased down by Onana, but again the towering centre-back continues his run and finds a ball into Jorginho, thrown into the box. Branthwaite manages to get it clear, only as far as Emile Smith-Rowe, and now we can try and see if we can burst forward here with Brian Brobby. Has he got options up ahead of him? Brian Brobby is cut off though by Ibrahim. Good defending in the end from Arsenal. Pato wins that one back into Damsgaard. Damsgaard's going to try and go all the way over to the right hand side to an unmarked Teresiano. Really nicely done, and Teresiano will float it back in, this time looking for Brian Brobby, and Brian Brobby doubles our lead right in the 89th minute of the game, and surely that is game, set and match here at Goodison Park, and surely we are winning a much needed 3 points here today. Look at the celebrations, look how much it means to that man. A wonderful ball out to an unmarked Teresiano, and the right back just giving us a little bit more width on that right hand side with a lovely little dinked cross into the box, and the big man Brian Brobby leapt highest above the two centre backs to head us into a 2-0 lead. What a game we have seen before our eyes today. That man Brian Brobby, a sensational return to form for him, and a sensational return to form from us as we beat Arsenal at full time 2-0. Well, not only does super sub Brobby inspire a late win, but it also means that we narrow the gap to Arsenal in the Premier League. It's down now to just 1 point separating us and the 4th place team, and now we are just 4 points behind league leaders Manchester City, and it finally seems like our season is beginning. Yes, Brian Brobby has been a bit hit and miss in all competitions this season, but in the Premier League he scored 5 goals in just 9 appearances, and finally yet again he stepped up when I needed him to. But I'm sure Emile Smith-Rowe will be the man with the biggest smile on his face after departing Goodison Park. He got a goal against his former team, the team that were only too happy to let him go, and finally now he might be able to kickstart his Everton career and potentially turn himself into an Everton legend moving forward. And our Everton Football Club back with a bang. We follow that victory up with a thumping 4-0 one away from home against Southampton as we move through to the next round of the Carabao Cup. And another clean sheet after a hard-fought victory means we claim another 3 points, this time away from home again, 1-0 against Fulham. But frustratingly, once again, just when I think we're on a really positive run, we come unstuck in the Champions League. A late equaliser for RB Salzburg means we share the points yet again, 1-1. And with only 2 games remaining in our group stage, we still sit in 3rd place, 1 point off of the automatic qualification spot in Leverkusen in 2nd, but we are now 3 points off of top spot, and we are in a really precarious position. Elsewhere though in the Premier League, we have come alive. 11 games played, and we are now just 2 points behind Manchester City and Salt. We are into the Champions League spots for the first time this season, and now I really think we can put a title challenge together. If we are going to do that though, we're going to have to make sure that we beat the teams that we are expected to beat in the Premier League, and we are going to be starting off against West Brom back at Goodison Park. And because it is a team that I am expecting to beat, it means that it is a return to my more attack-minded 3-5-2 formation, and of course due to the midweek Champions League game I have made a few changes to my usual starting 11. Pickford does keep his place in goal, but Lacroix, Zangante and Branthwaite all come in defence. Garner partners Onana in the middle of the park with Jota on the left, Couto on the right, Damsgaard, of course, plays in behind Brobby, and Moukoko lead the line up front. Once again, it's another big Premier League game, and it's a game that we absolutely must win if we want to keep up this fine form in the Premier League, as Moukoko tries to drive into the West Brom box. He does just that! Oh my word, what a sensational way to start the opening 4 minutes here. The young German, yet again, strikes, and he has single-handedly taken this West Brom defence apart. It was laid on a plate for him for Damsgaard, but he still had a load of work to do. Went past two players, drove into the box, and with his weaker right foot, absolutely leathered a strike past the goalkeeper. It's 1-0 Everton. Biangno for West Brom down this left-hand side, tries to go one-on-one with one of my defenders, does manage to go past him. Yukaslu now into the box, into Maya. In the end, though, it's just about cleared away. West Brom have it again, this time with Swift. Into Josh Meyer again. Now it's out to Diang. West Brom looking to respond immediately. Ashworth gets blocked off, though, by Jan Kuto. The right midfielder come right back. And now he wins the ball back. And look at this, he's got the pace to burst away. But he doesn't have the final pass in the final third to release Brian Brobby. Into Anana. Anana out to Jota. And Jota has options ahead of him. Jota finds Brian Brobby. And Brian Brobby releases Damsgaard. And Damsgaard now can try and make his way into the box. Damsgaard strikes. Big save, though, by the goalkeeper. Well, we've got our heads up here, and we've got our tails up, and we've got our chests out, as we really think this could be a game that we could win by a big scoreline. But at the moment, West Brom holding firm as they headed the ball away from a good corner from Jan Kuto on the left-hand side, but Branthwaite wins it back, and now the centre-back will drive down the left-hand side. Checks back into Jota. Anana. This is time for us yet again to try and build out here into the path of Damsgaard. Damsgaard lays it all the way out wide to Jota on the left-hand side, throws it in with the outside of his foot. What a ball in, and Moukoko was just inches away from trying to get to it, and in the end, West Brom just about clear their lines. Out to Jan Kuto. Jan Kuto goes in field for Brian Brobby, and he's got the overlap of Jan Kuto yet again, and of course the Brazilian now is going to drive into the box here every single time we go forward. We look like we're getting close to scoring here, and it's brought back into Jota. Oh my word, I thought it was just going to fall into the path of Moukoko, but the keeper dives on the rebound. Brilliant goalkeeping. Zangante into Ghana. It's been all Everton so far here in the opening 45 minutes, but we've got to make sure that we make it count. As Damsgaard now has it. Another huge save from the goalkeeper. Jota to try and keep it alive, but eventually they just about clear their lines. My word, how on earth are West Brom holding on here? Well, we have to remember, for all of our positive play, we only have a 1-goal lead here at Goodison Park. We've got to remain professional. We've got to keep the pressure on, and we've got to make sure that we do not let this lead slip. Jan Kuto now throws it over to Jota on the left-hand side. Lovely ball, lovely take, and he's just managed to go past the defender. Really nicely done from the Portuguese. And now Jota goes down the left-hand side. Doesn't have any options, so checks back into Damsgaard, who's come short. Damsgaard plays it into the centre. Looks for Moukoko. Moukoko lines up James Garner, who tries to strike, but it's a tame one in the end, straight at the goalkeeper. Diang now for West Brom, trying to go past James Garner. Cuts it back into the left-back. Ashworth gets it back from him, though. And now this is a good opportunity for West Brom, but they've gone and lost the ball to Jan Kuto. And now we can try and escape with it yet again. James Garner into Anana. Anana has options ahead of him. Manages to find a wonderful ball into Moukoko, but it just overruns. Plays it back into the path of Jota. Jota tried to go across into the path of Damsgaard, but couldn't quite reach him. Diang for West Brom down the line into Ashworth. Ashworth goes central into Swift. Blocked off yet again by Damsgaard, but he's managed to lose the ball. And now West Brom continue their attack. They try and go down this right-hand side, exposing our lack of wing-backs yet again. They cut it back in. Thrown into the box, headed away though by Zangante. West Brom though starting to turn the screw a little bit more. Diang now again for West Brom. 15 minutes remaining on the clock here, and West Brom are starting to look a little bit more likely to get themselves back into this game. We've got to remember it is just 1-0 at the moment. We cannot let our heads drop. We cannot lose our concentration. West Brom though continue down this left hand side. They play it in field to Ashworth. Ashworth with a defence splitting pass into Swift. Gets it back from him down the left hand side. He does end up losing it though, and Garner now can try and play it central into the path of Anana, and this is the opportunity now. Can we try and play it over the top into Moukoko? Has he managed to stay on side? No, he hasn't. Branthwaite now to be the man to take it out of defence, and Baki Okon as a substitute. Plays it over to another substitute in Emil Smith-Rowe, and his fresh legs. Look at the way he just glides past the defender and glides into the penalty area. Tries to check back though, doesn't manage to, and in the end it was great recovery defending. Diang now for West Brom, being chased down by James Garner. Manages to keep the ball in play though, and manages to find a lovely ball into Kastrop. And now Josh Meyer, all in acres of space in the centre here, goes for a drive and gets it all wrong. Well, fortunately for us, the referee decided to call time, and that was the last action of the game. It wasn't the goal fest that I was expecting after our first half performance. That man, Moukoko, his goal was the only one to prove the difference between the two teams today. As yet again, it's another Everton 3 points. It's 1-0. The most important thing for me, though, wasn't necessarily the win, but it was the way that we managed to dig deep, keep our composure and our professionalism. We didn't lose any concentration, and we managed to keep the clean sheet. And speaking of clean sheets, this man, Jordan Pickford, appears to be the clean sheet leader. leader in the Premier League this season with 5 to his name so far. And there can be no doubt that that has helped us arrest our poor form and lead us straight back to the top of the Premier League table. Yes, we do have a game over Manchester City, but a point above them, and Everton are back in business in the Premier League. It seems like we've got our mojo back, switching between this more balanced 4-3-3 formation and this attack-minded 3-5-2. It looks like the board are happy about how things are going so far this season, and it looks like morale is starting to pick up amongst the players as well. But the big question is, though, with us still struggling in the Champions League, with us getting into the quarter-finals of the Carabao Cup, and with our FA Cup journey yet to begin, are we going to be able to manage all these cup competitions and somehow come away with our first piece of silverware in this Everton career mode? But if you want to find out, you're going to have to continue watching the rest of the season, as that is that for the end of today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time.